So, we decided to splurge recently and bought ourselves a bottle of the Arran 10-year single malt. Hands down, probably the best $48 and change I've spent in a long time. As you can see, I've already dug into it. I couldn't help myself. But based on previous tasting, it is definitely something that would go beautiful with a big cube. It's malty. The honey is very prevalent on the smell. It's for a 10-year, surprisingly light in color. I mean, you can see it. It's very hard honey color. You get a lot of the 10 and 12 years that they get real dark real quick. There's that cusp between like 8 and 10 years that color from the barrel, from the charred barrel, just comes out real quick. It's very thin on the mouthfeel. It doesn't cover very easily, so you gotta get at least a couple sips in there to really get a good feel for it. But a cube, just a single large cube, can really help that. It helps to bind up those oils and thicken everything up. You could also leave the bottle in the freezer if you were to choose. But a thick cube, good big cube will do the same thing. No matter how many times I tried, on the reviews they say, there's taste of cinnamon in there. I can't find it. I mean, it's there, but I for my palate at least, it gets buried very easily. Now, you want to remember when smelling a whiskey, get a couple sniffs in there. Get your nose all the way in there. Take a couple good inhales. Don't breathe back into the glass. It's going to muck everything up for you. And give it one or two with the mouth open, because that air travels through. It's going to come down the back of your passage, and it's going to come out your mouth when you leave it open. So you get little hints of the taste in the aromatics when you do that. It's been a while since I've tried a new single malt Scotch. That honey becomes really prevalent when you get a little aeration to it. I've had people give me a look and an attitude when I do that, when I get that sucking noise, that little bit of aeration, but it makes sense. It's, you look at the, like tequilas and certain liquors, the Milagro Select barrel. Okay? So, in the bottle itself, there's an aerator right in the neck. I actually have one outside. I'll show it to you guys next time. But in the neck itself, there's actually either small holes blown into a film of glass, or there's a bar right across. So as you pour, it aerates. It gets it moving just enough without bruising it, without damaging it, without oxidizing it. and it helps you to get some of the other tastes in there that you wouldn't normally see. So when I'm trying a new whiskey, or a really good whiskey for that matter, I'll aerate it. You take that little sip. And you aerate it. Now, not only does it give it time to sit on the palate, but it gets it moving. Now, that's why you get some people that say, "Oh, never dilute a good whiskey. Never, no, give it to me neat. Oh, I don't want rocks diluting." That's why you go with the big rock. Okay? That's why you go with the big rock. It's large enough and cold enough that it's able to chill the whiskey, so you can get those oils binding up. You can change the molecular consistency of it just enough. Changes the mouthfeel, changes the taste just a little bit, just enough. You can find out about it. But some whiskeys that are good room temperature, without that cube, you still need to bring things down just a little bit so your palate can handle it. That initial alcohol burn, that hard singe when you taste and you drink some of that, any alcohol for that matter, it shocks the taste buds. It's going to give it an initial shake that sometimes it can't handle. And depending on your taste buds, it can almost numb them for an extended period of time. So while you're drinking the rest of the glass, yeah, it takes some time to get some taste into it, but there's ways to avoid it. I specifically, when I bought this bottle, I specifically bought a small bottle of Fiji water. Gimmick, no gimmick. Nonetheless, it is a clean spring water. It is a clean bottled water. And just a capful, just a single capful into a solid 2 fingers, 3 fingers of whiskey. It dilutes things just enough to mellow that hard alcohol bite while not diluting the flavors of it. So when you begin to drink it and you start to taste it right off the bat, your taste buds aren't in shock. They're not wondering what the hell's going on. That hard ethanol burn, it dissipates almost instantly. Over the years, I've tasted a lot of whiskeys. I've drank a lot of whiskeys. And I can comfortably say that the Arran single malt, 10-year, for 45 and change, depending on your local market, probably one of the best bang for your buck single malt aged whiskeys out there. I was lucky enough, I went into a local place by me, a great place with a great bunch of guys, wise old dog, and I went in strictly looking for beer, because we had an event at work and I needed to feed people alcohol. So I went in for beer. And you know me, you get to talking, you see the whiskeys, you start thinking, you start drooling a little bit. And one of the girls there recommended, she said, "You know what, you need to try the Arran." I said, okay. Now, me being a salesperson, I'm always trepidatious, when retail employees recommend something. I know the game. I know the routine. But I went into the shop one night after work, and originally I was just looking to get myself a 375 Macallan. Another place down the street, Harvest. They had those 375s Macallan for like 26 bucks. I think maybe after tax was like 28, 29. And I didn't want to get a lot because you get a lot, drink a lot. So, when I went in, I was doing a little bit of looking. I said, you know what? I can't go spending 60, 70, 80, 90 bucks on a bottle right now. Like, I gotta keep it on a budget. So I asked her, I said, you know what? You got the Macallan pints? She's like, no, we actually don't. I didn't think Macallan came in pints. I said, oh, they do. Don't worry about it. It's cool. So I went to the back because they got a couple of the Game of Thrones scotches. And I've had a few of those. And they're all fantastic. Marketing aside, they are a good group of scotches. And they had the House Stark, the Dalwhinnie unaged, for $49.99 plus tax. I was almost heart set on it. Then I thought about that Macallan pint. They didn't have it, so I went back. And as I'm walking back, I see the Whistle Pig. Oink, oink, motherfuckers. Anybody who knows whiskey knows that Whistle Pig is one of them. They do an amazing rye across the board, and they had one or two of the bottles. They had the 10-year. They had one or two for like 70, 75, 80, 85. I'd love to be that person that can walk into a store and drop that $400 on a bottle of Boss Hog or the 15-year rye. I'd love to be that guy, but I'm not. So as I was looking at the Whistle Pig, I was thinking. And then I get back to that Scotch wall, and I'm looking at the Game of Thrones Scotch, and I look right underneath, and there sits the Arran. And I started looking across, they got the 10-year, they got the 15, they got the 18. I'm trying to find my middle ground, my groove of price and taste. So I saw the 10, and I looked at the price tag, and when I saw the 10, the first thing I thought when I saw that price tag was no, that can't be real. It can't be. $50 for a 10-year single malt Scotch? Fucking hell. So I said, you know what? I remember that name. It struck up in my brain again, and she said, get it, so I got it. Worth every penny. Without a doubt. Hands down, no question. I mean, the maltiness, that honey, that sweet smokiness, it hangs on the tongue for a good 60 to 90 seconds after you take a sip. And then once it's down, it's once you hit that 2-minute mark, it really starts to dissipate. But again, it's unfortunately at home, I I no longer have my big cube trays or any ice tray for that matter. So I got to take it neat. But I'm comfortable enough to say that this with a large cube, I actually, when we're done here, I'm gonna take the bottle and sneak it into the freezer, because I think once it's chilled and those oils really bind up and that honey, that sweet sugary syrup malty honey starts to thicken, it'll get a a lot better mouthfeel and a lot better mouth cover, and that flavor will hang on significantly longer. Whether it does or doesn't, you know that you could easily see me polishing off a bottle of something like this in a day, day and a half, no questions asked. It's that smooth, that malty, that sweet, but it's not an oversweet. Oh, it's almost like a roasted honey at a certain point. You get that fire that's been put to it. I honestly can't find a bad thing to say about it. For $49.99 plus tax MSRP, the Arran single malt 10-year is so far the best Scotch that I've had in a long time. If you don't have a bottle, I recommend you go out and you grab one. Because, as we've seen already, Scotches are getting increasingly more expensive with import laws and tariffs. That and the Japanese stuff. Maybe next week, next time we'll do a Japanese tasting. But I can tell you right off the bat that the Japanese stuff will get exponentially more expensive very fast. And they make a very good whiskey. They are meticulous in all their practices. They are a culture of care and attention to detail in any aspect of their product. So when they started doing a whiskey, it immediately piqued my interest. But if you can grab one, grab a Hibiki, grab a Suntory, grab a Yamazaki. You can't go wrong with any one of them. But if you want a straight up Scotch and a single malt, I could place this right between the Macallan 12 and the Glenlivet 12. Yeah, it's a 10-year, but I can put it comfortably taste-wise in between the two. Quality-wise, your Macallan 12, it's a little smokier. That Glenlivet 12, I'll drink it from time to time, but I won't go looking for it because I know the taste. It's sweet. It's very malty, and it's not me. It's not my palate. But I can put this right in the middle between the two. Both value, quality, and taste. Across the board. The Arran 10 has been the best $50 that I've spent in a long time.